Okay, so how do I start this thing? So today is, it's a nice Friday afternoon. We've been having a heat wave for a couple of days now. So, but today seems to be good enough. And right today, so that the sun had to shine, didn't it? Nice. Yeah. It's sunny, but it is quite windy and it's a cool area. It's the same location from the previous video. So I figured this is a nice place to sit and record. Now, the topic for this video is going to be a very long one because I will be talking about yeah so I will be talking about Manipal specifically. I know like this whole series kind of started with that one video that I recorded at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night talking about Manipal, giving a short retrospective of that. So this is a fuller retrospective of that. Let's just wait for these guys to pass, I guess. Yeah, I like music, so it's very nice to hear different types of music. I don't think they are going away anytime soon. But it's okay. I don't think the mic will pick it up. If it does, then I guess it is a nice intro music, I guess. Anyway, so where was I? So this is going to be a fuller retrospective of Manipal, where I will be talking about uh, my entire journey from my childhood to through all the 4 years that I spent at Manipal. I'll talk about the year I spent after graduation, all the stuff that I did, and then obviously my time here in the US as of this recording. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Nihal Sharma. I was a Mechatronics 2022 BTech graduate from MIT Manipal, the main campus. I worked for a year here and there. I specialize in robotics and automation, and I just finished my master's in robotics, specializing in soft robotics and prosthetics from Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Massachusetts. So as of today, 2025, today marks, I think, almost 3 complete years after I graduated all the way back in 2022. So I think this is a good enough time frame for anyone to give a more informed perspective on stuff in general, like stuff that happened during the time in college, whether the stuff that they did in Manipal helped them, all that sort of stuff. So this video is designed to, the way I've laid out this video, the way I've scripted this video in my head since last night has been just thinking about this. And uh, I will say though that this place, this video is not meant to be a roadmap. I mean, I will talk about the things that I did, but it's not a you should do this or you should do that sort of video. I mean, I will say things that you should probably look at, but don't feel free to take it at face value. Feel free to not take it at face value. It's all up to you. Everyone is their own person. So I don't want to necessarily, uh, restrict someone to certain decisions, especially where we'll get to it. But then the reason why I took mechatronics, all those things. So all those things. Okay. Oh yeah, disclaimer. I mean, obviously, this is going to be a pretty detailed video, and I prefer keeping it unedited because that allows me to not worry about how I'm structuring my stuff and just straight yap. This is going to be my longest video so far, maybe for a long while. So we'll see. Okay, yeah. Disclaimers. Everything that I say is my own opinion, informed by my own experiences, my own lived experiences, inherent biases, all that stuff. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Don't take it at face value, or take it at face value. You do you. Uh, any criticism is not to be taken again as me. I won't say I'll criticize anyone, but please don't take anything I say as criticism. Just think of it as an observation or an opinion. I mean, uh, whatever floats your boat. And since this is going to be a long video, I figured I'll keep myself hydrated. So we'll see. Okay. So, where do we begin? Let's start with the beginning. So, like I mentioned, I didn't mention the table of contents and stuff, right? Yeah. So we'll start at the beginning. We'll start with my childhood. So I was born in the year 2000 in Pune, Maharashtra. Which, and for those that are Marathi people or are Punekars, and I don't know if you all will know, but I don't know what time in the future you may be watching this, but uh, we have, I mean, my family runs a chain of mobile stores. Uh, we go by the name of telephone shoppers. So I just thought I'd mention that, since I figured it might be relevant information to inform uh, where I'm coming from, like my background, like my childhood, all that stuff. So I've had a pretty normal upbringing, nothing out, nothing out of this world. Like I know there are people I know and people who may be watching this video that have done stuff like, they've done robotics competitions, they've done hackathons, they've done Olympiads and all that stuff. I didn't do any of that. One, because I had no idea those things even existed, and two, I think, back in what, 2010, whatever, whenever I was like, 10 years old, going to school and whatever. I think opportunities were different, and so it's nice to see that there are more opportunities for students to, like, for kids to do things, but we didn't necessarily have that. So I guess that is relevant context to know, because I'm pretty sure if I had access to the sort of facilities and the sort of opportunities that children have right now, I probably would be doing some very, either very different things, or the stuff that I'm doing now might have been done by me couple years ahead of schedule, I guess. Yeah, ahead of the timeline, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, I had a pretty normal upbringing. I liked sports. I mean, not light as in I played whatever I could. Not necessarily athletic, but I liked, basketball. I liked lawn tennis, all this stuff. For those that, Punekars, you all know Deccan Gymkhana. So I used to go to Deccan Gymkhana, Tirak tank to like swim and all this stuff. So nice childhood. I had the habit of like watching Nat Geo and all those things. Although I did love my fair share of cartoons. I love Tom and Jerry. I love Oswald. I love Ben 10, Kick Buttowski. All 2000s kids. You all know the sort of cartoons we watch. You goated ones. Like y'all Gen Alpha kids, y'all have no idea what you've missed, man. I'm telling you. And I'm probably thinking, I think, Gen Xers and all these guys might also be talking about, the Flintstones and stuff, and how we kind of missed it. But anyway, I digress. You're going to see a lot of digressing in this video. So yeah, a pretty normal childhood. Oh yeah, the one defining characteristic that I think is relevant to mention here, which I think would be nice for people to know, because I know things like this. I don't know if I'd gone on the path I did if I did not have this habit of mine, which was, I really loved reading. I adore reading. You could hand me literally anything in the world and I'll read it top to bottom. You give me like very shampoo bottles, I'll read it front to back. Like that was my appetite for reading, and how that developed was, our school had a library, and I mean, obviously library has books. So partly because my parents uh, made me watch Nat Geo and all these sorts of, educational channels, and then also partly because it was somewhat easier to borrow books and return books and all those things. I feel it was, so I think that getting access to knowledge and getting access to that sort of information was what really propelled me along this path. So, but anyway, I would, how do I say this? I've probably, yeah, I have read, one of the defining characteristics of my childhood was I read every single book in my school library, all 1,500 of them. I don't remember the actual number, but I did this over a period of 3 4 years, that I was at Bishop's camp. Um, and the way this happened was, I think starting from the sixth grade, the way a typical day would go was, I'd after the morning assembly, I'd go. borrow a book from the library, carry it to class, read it under the table, much to the chagrin of my teachers, and I have been reprimanded a bunch of times for that, but I got used to it. So I would do that and return the book at the end of the day, because after a point it becomes so good at it that, I mean, obviously when I first started out, it took me a while to kind of go through the words and all that stuff. But after a while, I got so good at reading in general that I would process entire books in a day, or even multiple books a day. Because if it's like a 200, 300 thing, is like, ho jata hai. Give it like, half a minute a page, and I'm probably done within like half a day. So it became, oh, what the hell? Yeah, perks of sitting in nature. You get some surprising visitors. Anyway, so it progressed to the point where I would convince my teachers to allow me to take my books to the exam hall, so that uh, I would be so I would convince my teachers to allow me to bring the books to the exam hall, and what I would do was I would finish the exam early and sit and read the book again. And so ye karte karte I was able to finish all 1500 whatever so books. Now this did, I guess, two things. One, obviously, I got skill at reading. I read a bunch of things, mystery, suspense, reference books, encyclopedias, atlases, your Hardy Boys, your Nancy Drews, your the the, uh, the horror one, Goosebumps, all these novels. And so like, one, it really gave me a very holistic, I mean, uh, it's like I got around 1,000 years of human civilization and knowledge just stuffed into my head that way. And so that gave me a very interesting repository of knowledge to draw on. Now, I wasn't, uh, I would say, cognitively skilled enough at the time to draw on that repository of knowledge, but I had access to that knowledge all the same. And so that allowed me to, I mean, it works, it's a kind of a double-edged sword. You gain access to all this information, but then you don't know what to do with all that information, and so that leads to decision paralysis, or like analysis paralysis, where you have like, there's just too much and you get overwhelmed and stuff. I had a bit of that. Although, I mean, there's also the other side of, if you don't read anything, you're hyper focused on whatever you do know, but then you don't know what you don't know, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, that was one, the core, like, that's a core memory of my childhood, just reading all those things, sitting in the library, sitting at home, on the car back from school, on the bus to school. I was reading all the time. And I'll mention why this is, why this is a necessary point to mention. So one, I would say side effect, one consequence of this habit of mine that I cultivated was, um, I developed a knack for what I like to call rabbit holing, in the sense of, if someone wants to know about a topic, they'll probably, they'll search it up, see a couple terms, um, probably that's about it. In my case, I would take it to a rather uh, mental extreme. So I would read up a bit too much on said topic. I'll go, go to all web pages and end up on some weird forum. I mean, this is like 2000, what, 10 or something, 2008, 10. So it's like still the wild west era of the internet. That's kind of on the tail end of it. But yeah, so I'd find myself on all these weird forums, just reading stuff. Me at the time wasn't social enough to talk on those forums. Although I guess in hindsight, it's probably a good thing. But yeah, I was just constantly consuming information. So that specific, I'd say, quality really helped in engineering in ways that I will elaborate on right now. So yeah, that was my childhood. 11 to 12 was also fairly uneventful. Oh yeah. I did get funneled into the JEE pipeline. So for those that are blissfully unaware of what the JEE is, well, thank God. I mean, I don't know how you've lived so long without being introduced to the horrors that is JEE. But if you want to go to the IITs, you got to the JEE. That's all I can say. And then what I can add on to that is there are a bunch of these coaching centers. I mean, there's a whole industry. I mean, you all know, Quota Factory, all these sort of, ugh, it's a very heavy topic. This whole coaching industry stuff. But anyway, point is why I'm mentioning this is because I also did join one of those coaching institutes, but I kind of did it for a year, and then I told my parents I can't. I just can't. I couldn't because like this habit of me trying to drill down to those fundamental first principles of how a thing works doesn't necessarily mesh well with the fastest finger first sort of strategy that the IIT JEE specifically employs. Like I know that the JEE advanced, all those things, they do require higher orders of understanding, but that initial level of just you have a question, solve it, doesn't matter how you solve, just solve it, that never really sat right with me because I was a particularly process oriented guy. I wasn't necessarily uh I don't know, it never really I felt really bad. I felt really bad doing that stuff. I couldn't stomach that stuff. So I told my parents I'm not doing it. Fortunately they were okay with it. But then obviously if not the IITs, if I'm not doing the JEE, that means the IITs are gone and the NITs are gone. And I guess maybe the triple IT, I don't know. Like a bunch of those top level institutes are out of my radar. So now, so what now? So then our eyes turn to the private institutes. Your BITS, VIT, SRM, Manipal, state colleges, which is the CUEP, MIT, WPU. This is Pune's MIT, not Manipal's MIT, Maharashtra Institute of Technology. Uh, so yeah, I gave all those exams. I guess I did okay. If I remember correctly, when I gave the BITSAT at the time, I was getting some dual degree stuff, uh, which I mean, I mean, some people take it because it gives them a chance to go to bits, but I could never stomach the idea of studying something that I have no idea about and I have no interest in, just to do that stuff. And then I think Manipal I don't remember the stats and stuff, but I think I was getting a bunch of the circuital, the electrical branches and everything below that, whatever that means, like mechanical and mechatronics and civils and all that stuff. I don't think I was getting ECA or EEE or whatever, but I was getting everything below that, cutoff wise. VIT I think was somewhat similar, although I saw the VIT horror stories. I mean, the stuff that people told, and I don't know if I didn't know that if that was something that I would want to do. So I was like, nah, I will not go there. SR was good. I think I was able to get a rank that gave me CAC and everything else. But then by the time I committed to electronics, so I let it go. It's similar-ish results with the CET. I was getting okayish, like decent. I don't think I was getting CEP, but I was getting like your PACT and stuff, or like your Vishwakarmas and stuff. So all in all, it was definitely a somewhat above average test cycle. Would I perform better if I took a drop? Maybe. I ain't got time for that shit though. But oh yes, so this is a test cycle. Now obviously I have all the options. Um, but while selecting these colleges, I recalled a certain experience that I had when and this is one thing that will widely differ for people. The one thing that opportunity that I did get was to go to the US, come here to the US rather, in I think ninth grade. So our school had half organized this thing in the sense that, I mean, we pay out of pocket, but they organize the logistics of it, so we don't have to deal with all that stuff. And so there's this tour group that was taking us to the States. They took us to Florida, down to Orlando, Florida, where the Kennedy Space Center and Tourist Complex is situated. and there's this astronaut training experience or something, which takes you through a simulated, a kiddie version of the stuff that people would do over there. Like you had your G force simulators, you had your weightlessness simulators. We also had to do the simulated, um, a simulated, mm, not takeoff, launch sequence. Yeah, launch sequence, I think, is the technical term for it. So we simulated a launch sequence, and so each one had a designated role, and then you do that stuff. So I think I was flight director, systems director, something of that sort. So I had a script and I was reading off of that. So it was a fun experience, not gonna lie. And then aside from that, we went to other places, some other stuff. But yeah, this the core, like one of the core, aside from my love for reading, I also developed a love for space and technology in general. uh, I had no idea what a robot was until maybe that one time when I saw the Mars rovers and I saw the space shuttle and I saw all those things, and they were talking about, oh, there's a thing called robotics, and rovers do all that stuff, and this is all space technology and yada yada yada. I love that stuff because I was particularly drawn towards space, as I think most children are, because it's quite exotic and very awe inspiring. But I thought to myself, I want to build something like that. I have no idea how to even begin, but I want to build something like that. So that was one of my central motivations to that. But I have no idea what to search for. So then I think, yeah, I think in 12th, the only thing that I must have done that was remotely, exploring per se, was I while I was on my one of my usual rabbit, going down my usual rabbit hole. Oh, strong gust of wind there. So something that I kind of did was, while I was on my regular rabbit hole, endeavors, I decided to try to explore one programming language a week. And when I say explore, as in like just see whether I can do Hello World in that, just see what the language is. And so that way, I think that was a very eye-opening experience, because that introduced me to C, C++, a bunch of other weird languages like B, D, F, no, not C sharp and F, Ada, the x86, like assembly. Like I have no idea what I had no idea what those things were at the time, but I just saw this thing like, oh, this looks interesting. I have no idea what this is, but this looks cool, I guess. And so that was one of the, you could say, uh, things that I did, which I guess can be constituted as stuff that I um, did aside from school, which is piddly compared to the type of stuff that my other friends in Manipal were doing. It like one guy had made this whole line following robot. The other guy was building apps or something. I was like, bro, what the fuck is this? I have no idea what this stuff even is. So that's the thing with, like, although I had all this information, it wasn't that specific type of information that people would generally think. Like I had no idea how to like build apps or all that stuff. I had some knowledge of HTML. I had some. I mean, I did attend a hackathon or something, but I didn't necessarily do a lot of the technical work there. But I made a presentation. I had that like the idea and the kind of brought it together, like the systems level thinking, high level systems thinking, which I liked. So I thought to myself, oh, this sounds good. Maybe I'll see if I can do something. Now and then, while also this happening, I got the Manipal ka counseling वगैरह. And while going through the list of branches that Manipal was offering, I came across this thing called mechatronics. And me at the time had zero idea what mechatronics even is, to begin with. So then, me being me, I started reading up about it. I read up, everything I could. I read through the syllabus. I googled every damn topic on that syllabus PDF. Every single thing. Like I remember perfectly. This was the night before people in my rank range was supposed to select their branches. So I came there with the expectation that I'll take something maybe electrical something. But I while going through, I think someone mentioned like one of my old school friends, somebody over there mentioned the single mechatronics, and I think this was a word that was mentioned that I overheard at the test center too. So then I was like, oh, yeah, I heard this term before. I'll probably see what it is. I have no idea what it is, but it sounds cool. And so that also kind of propelled me to look at everything else on their offering, like their program offering and stuff. But then I saw the mechatronics syllabus. I was like, dude, they are teaching robotics in the curriculum. I have no idea what I'll learn, but I know ki I want to do robotics, and I also know that I will do whatever I can to get into robotics. So I was like, see, yeah, done deal. I'll take mechatronics. I decided at 11 p.m. in the night, or something, or like something of that sort. Now the next problem was convincing my parents ki, bhai, please let me take mechatronics. I don't remember कैसे convince किया मैंने, but somehow I convinced. Maybe it was like just talking to other people. We kind of, I think, guess we cross verified with other people who were like more knowledgeable, and I think we also met other people at that specific counseling day. Uh, yeah, I remember this specifically because like these 2 days were a very tumultuous time when came to this stuff, because obviously like 4 years of your life in pursuit of a certain subject is a large investment of time, right? And so you get to and so people try to go for the safer options. They try to go for your computer science, all that sort of stuff. Now here I am selecting something that people don't even know of. In like people probably didn't even know robotics and automation the way we know of it now. This is 2018, mind you. Industry 4.0 is entering the mainstream, and Industry 5.0, I don't think the word existed in the dictionary at that point in time. So uh, the specific branch selection process was definitely a leap of faith. I'm pretty sure it was a leap of faith at the time. We just thought, "Ki, theek hai. I mean, this looks interesting. We'll see." In the meantime, I mean, we can always see other options, because one advantage mechatronics had was it was fairly flexible, because I mean, I took it for robotics, but a nice little coincidence was that mechatronics teaches you all the three avenues of engineering, because I mean, it's in the name, mechanical and electronics. But then we also had a couple CS stuff. We had robotics and curriculum, but there other stuff. So if nothing else, we figured having that sort of bird's eye view would be useful, which kind of tracks from my experience reading all the books in the library, because my parents saw that and they saw that I was fairly knowledgeable on a bunch of things. So they thought maybe this can extend to mechatronics and like engineering in general. So that's kind of what I guess what convinced them in the end to take mechatronics. So wo hua, I took mechatronics. I came to Manipal not knowing a single thing. I mean, yeah, I kind of knew what an Arduino was. Sort of nothing much else aside from that. First year was a total. I wouldn't call it a train wreck, but it was very eventful. Now, mind you, the me in 2018 was very different from the me you see now. All I don't think if you told me in 2018 to sit in front of the camera and yap for an hour on end, I probably wouldn't be able to do it for a minute. I was that, I mean, camera shy, introvert, not introvert. I mean, I am introvert. I was asocial, yeah, asocial, antisocial, not necessarily socially skilled, like socially anxious, yeah, for sure. So I kind of it was a combination of me being in a completely new place and me being away from my parents, and part of my inner competitiveness kind of standing out. But uh, I that first month I turned into the social butterfly. I don't know how I did it, how that happened, but it was like a switch had flipped in my brain, and I was just, adding people to WhatsApp groups left and right. I For some dumb reason I competed to be CR, like class representative for those that don't know, which is, the basically the the representative of the class and who serves as the point of contact between the class and the teachers and all that stuff. Um, so I ran for, so it's an election based thing. So I ran for that and I won by a landslide. And thinking back on this, I'm thinking to myself, "Ki, bhai sahab, how the hell did I pull all this shit off?" uh, I don't know. I generally don't know. Somehow, kind of, पता नहीं यार. uh, but I did it somehow. I think this is one thing should that I would like to highlight here is that uh, sometimes being in a totally new place can empower you to do things that you normally wouldn't have been able to do before. I know for a fact that had I gone to like a local state college or Pune ka college, I would have probably commuted from home, and so वो रहता है ना कि like घर के लोग तो I don't think I would have been able to break out of the shell that I would say made for myself, or the shell that I was in. Although I guess the specific combination of my experiences so far meant that I was still not. I'm still not a like a party guy or like a drinker. But yeah, I made friends with people that do that stuff. I didn't go, so I did break the asocial thing obstacle, but then I didn't really go down the daru whatever part. So that was the first, all this in the first semester. It was a very eventful semester for me. So this was, so yeah. Courses were okay. I mean, I would like to think to myself that I kind of did okay, because at the time I had also applied for Mars or Manipal. So picture this: me at the time not knowing anything. I am in my new social butterfly persona, uh, and so I see a bunch of these new student projects come up. I have no idea what a student project is. And so I read up on that stuff and I see, oh, damn, this looks pretty interesting. Um, let's see how, let's see what they have, what they've got. So I read up about Masro Manipal, I read up about Project Manas, all these things. Oop, yeah. Um, and while, so MRM particularly appealed to me because I'm still coming from, at the time, I was still coming from the perspective of I want to do space tech. So to me, Mars rover, like I saw Mars rover in the name, like, okay, bhai, I want to build a Mars rover, I will go to Mars rover. Although I did apply for a bunch of other student projects because at the time I figured, and considering the skills that I had at the time, which was literally just 12th board marks and nothing else, and there were other people who had done a lot of crazy shit before while they were in school, and me, I don't know anything. I didn't know anything at that point. So I thought to myself, "Hey, fine, here, let's spread our net a bit wider, and if not MRM, let's go to other student projects." So I applied for, I think, um, I applied for all the subsystems of Manas. I applied for all of the subsystems of MRM, specifically research, because at the time I think MRM was the only place that had research. And I think I was going to apply to Robo Manipal, but yeah, I don't think I ever did that, because by the time they came about, I remember this because I think it was a Friday like this one, and I was supposed to attend their walk-in interviews or something of that sort at 5 p.m. and I get notifications that have passed all of these task phases at 3 p.m. So पहले तो I am sitting here for half an hour in total utter disbelief कि भाई उनको कुछ कोई और मिला ही नहीं क्या कि मुझे ही लेना था टास्क फेज में. आई मीन आई हैड अ फेयर आइडिया कि टास्क फेज लाइक अ प्रोबेशनरी पीरियड, बट आई थॉट कि वाह भाई, आई पास दैट मिनिमम कट ऑफ. अच्छा यार, आई हैड नो आइडिया I'd be able to do that. So yeah, I don't think I ever turned up for the robo Manipal thing. Yeah, before I go ahead, back up a bit. For those that don't know, student projects at Manipal or any other college are these major teams that compete at national or international competitions in certain fields. So you have Formula Student, which is which for us is Formula Manipal. You have the University Rover Challenge, which for us was MRM. You have Robo Sub, which is a project AUV Manipal. You have Spaceport and like the rocket stuff, which is Thrustomighty. You have Aero Modeling, which is Aeromighty. Solar car stuff, which is Solar Mobile. Robocon, ABU Robocon, and World Robotics Olympiad, WRO, which was Robo Manipal. Uh, Not IUGV. I forget the autonomous ground vehicle competition's name, but that was Manas. And I'm forgetting a lot of these other. Oh yeah, so if you look at the website, there's a bunch of these student projects. But like at the time, these were the ones that I had paid attention to because they were building stuff, and I wanted to build stuff. I wasn't necessarily a computer sciencey guy because it didn't really appeal to me. So I joined MRM research because I thought to myself ki like they have all this stuff is like ठीक है भाई, the competition is a fixed thing, but I want to see if there's something more. And it seemed to us at the time ki research does contribute to the rover, but then we explore more stuff. So like ठीक है, I want to explore something new because at the time it was the only place that was offering that sort of stuff. So I joined MRM research. So I left all the other task phases. And I stuck with MRM research. First semester was kind of okay. I mean, you have the midnight reports and all that stuff. So I don't know if they still do this anymore, but the way each task phase goes is you tend to have a classroom phase and then you tend to have a workshop phase. In the classroom phase, you are trained on certain topics and you're asked to turn in certain reports by a certain deadline, which used to be the same midnight of the same day. So 6 baje you'd come to the classroom, have your task phase stuff where they would grill you on the report that you turned in the day before, and then they'll give you a new topic, they'll train you on that, tell you ki write a report on this by tonight. So I did that. It was very hectic, very tiring, if I say so myself, it was quite tiring. And I I pulled through. I don't know how I did it, but all through first semester, all through the second semester, my grades did tank. Uh, but at the time, I was like, it's okay, yaar. I'll manage somehow as long as I keep that in the 7.4, 7.5 wala range. I felt it was okay. It was an acceptable trade off because like, you don't get to do all these things again, yeah. So it's okay. हो जाता है. So that's the end of the first year. So my entire first year, I did not exit the campus at all. The only time I exited campus was to go to the workshop, which sounds absolutely wild until you realize that. I mean, दिन में टाइम ही कहा था मुझे. Like I had classes, I would go home, maybe study, or do workshop का. I mean, I would go to the workshop and do my work there because although I like reading, I like all that stuff, I would not call myself conventionally. I wouldn't give myself a conventionally high IQ. I mean, the type of stuff, I wouldn't call myself smart or like there are people who are genuinely smart. कि ऐसे time pass कर लेंगे, they'll go to the club and whatnot. But then last week में they'll lock in and then they'll get nice 8.5, 9 or whatever. I wasn't that sort of guy. At least at the time, I wasn't that sort of guy. That is something that I realize is partly a skill that you have to train and partly the environment in which you are brought up in. So I wasn't necessarily brought up in a study, padhai, padaku, etc. environment, but I was brought up in a learning environment. So looking back and see how that informed my future path. Thence. So that's the first year. Nothing much aside from, well, MRM. I didn't do much in the summer of the first year because, like, while others were, in internship karenge or so, I looked at the. I mean, I took a look at stuff, ki, like tech internship, non tech internship, and I thought to myself, and like, ये एक महीने के लिए ये सब करने का, I don't know. I don't think I ever. I wasn't really drawn to that sort of stuff. Maybe I would have benefited from taking some sort of internship, but then the me at the time decided that it's better to just read and do some personal projects, all this stuff. In the midst of all this, I discovered LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is, I mean, for those that are yet to create a LinkedIn account, LinkedIn is Facebook for professionals. I guess is a good way to put it. For for those that are on LinkedIn, you know why I say Facebook for professionals. So we had so you had these different people that were posting things that they did. So I saw, oh wow, ये ऐसे project बना रहे. So I thought I'll also make a project, but I have no idea where to start. So then I started looking at the curriculum. I saw, okay, ठीक है, the stuff that I did in the curriculum, what can I do from here? So then and also this is, I'm trying to draw back on the task phase that I did with MRM, where we were taught CATIA, we were taught mech design, we were taught a bit of coding and all that stuff. So I thought, let's explore that stuff. So मैंने थोड़ा hackering किया. I did I think Fusion 360 or something was there. I did uska this thing. I kind of just trained myself a little on CATIA. I kind of read research papers. I wasn't necessarily very adept at it. Although I would say I am quite skilled at it right now. But that is, it takes, yeah, this is like what, 4 years of experience at this point. Uh, but then yeah, first year was quite straightforward. Second year was quite eventful because the third semester always I was part of the team. So and then again my life was pretty much college, workshop. So now beach में I had the time to kind of you know uh, do some more club activities. So at the time we had these engineering chapters like IE Mechatronics, ISA Manipal, all these sorts of chapters, which at the time were either thoda defunct or were okay-ish. So then I wanted to try and so I think I jumped the gun a little bit there. So in the third semester, while I was doing MRM stuff, I came across this. So there was this program that the department was doing called the Mechatronics Peer Program, peer teaching program, which essentially was um, you you pick a topic, you pick a subject, you'd have peers under you, and then you would teach them what the subject was. And so that was pretty interesting because minor, I had some minor experience that before, and so that allowed me to. I mean, I drew on that experience. So I think I taught robotics one at a time because back in my first year during task phase, we were taught that sort of stuff. So I draw the experience. So robotics one was kind of a cakewalk because all the stuff that we learned in robotics one was stuff that I did in task phase. So it was okay. So then I would hold these little study sessions, mostly for diploma students. But then there was this one time where I kind of taught like a class. It was okay, not too shabby, in my opinion, but it was pretty good. So then Wokia. Um, then what did happen was we had these different peer mentors. So I think I was a peer, kind of peer. So it's a very dumb thing. So this is another issue with, I guess, Indian students as a whole. I don't know if it's just Manipal or just in general. Ki, we are driven by extrinsic outcomes. कि मुझे क्या मिलेगा, like अगर मैंने ये किया तो what do I get out of it, like what benefit does it have for me, which is not a wrong mindset to have. It's just you have to do some things just for the love of the game or just for the love of the process, not necessarily with any outcome in mind. And that is something that I think is kind of lacking in the majority of people because thinking about it at the time, there wasn't any real benefit to doing the peer program. I mean, we weren't getting any certificate, we weren't getting anything. So then I thought to myself, but then I really liked, I wanted to do something in that realm of education because, like, given my experience having uh, been in a very supportive educational environment in school and in my childhood, I thought that it's something that should be given to other people as well, especially people that were struggling with subjects. So I would naturally kind of help people out with subjects or doubts or all that stuff. Uh, so I thought, yeah, that I should try to do something that department, which is what prompted me to join the PO program. So the third semester was pretty nothing really major. I joined the PO program. I was in MRM doing stuff, and then I joined the PO program. I did all that stuff, and yeah, that's about it. Now, fourth semester, May. Uh, fourth semester was a bit whack because I mean I know there was the whole I mean code was a major reason, but then for me personally it was a very difficult couple months because there were a bunch of subjects that were exceedingly hard for me to kind of understand, and no, obviously because it's the latter half of the year and things were picking up MRM wise, it was quite difficult for me to kind of organize everything, and so I was absolutely at my limit. It was a really tough period to go through. Looking back, I think it was I would say it's a character development arc because that kind of allowed me to understand कि क्या करेगा, but at the time it was quite difficult. फिर लेकिन मार्च में अप्रैल में कोड हिट and that totally changed the rules or changed flipped the script for everyone. So COVID hit, we went home, and 1 week turned into 2 weeks, 2 weeks into four, a month turned into a quarter, and it didn't seem that we'd be able to return back to campus anytime soon. Clearly, I mean, the entire world was under lockdown at the time. So I mean, घर का भी tension रहता है कि like how we supposed to work and all that stuff. But yeah, I think we kind of figured stuff out somehow. But yes, those 1 or 2 years of, I mean, yeah, we had online college का भी बहुत ये चीज है which I'll talk about. But one of the major things that assist that helped. So like this entire 2 year period of me just sitting at home kind of turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it allowed me, so like all the time that I would spend in just like traveling and doing laundry and all that stuff, obviously because घर पे है, तो everyone contributes, so that stuff gets nullified essentially. Now all the free, so here I am with the same efficiency marker of someone who has very little time in the day, so I would have had to squeeze out every single minute of the day, and now instead of getting just 2 hours I have basically 20, because I mean I could sleep, kind of sleep whenever I want, all this stuff. So the training montage that started was legendary. So I would wake up, I would binge Coursera courses the whole day. Like I would binge Coursera specializations, not even courses. I did the Fusion 360 specialization, I did the modern robotics specialization, although I still have to, I can do the final stuff to round to the specialization. So, but okay. So I did the modern robotics specialization, which for those that don't know is a course on robotics, math, and stuff from Northwestern University. That's offered on course. It's a very good course for people that want to get deep into robotics modeling. And Fusion 360 is a CAD program by Autodesk, similar to CATIA, AutoCAD-ish, that sort of stuff. So I did a bunch of these courses. I did a bunch of these different projects because I didn't necessarily have access to hardware at the time. I did a bunch of designs. I did a bunch of like simulations. I just read a lot. I read a lot about these things. I read a lot about robotics. At the time, I was fortunate enough to also have been part of the exec boards or the executive boards for ISA Manipal and IE Mechatronics. So then combining this, my time in the PO program together, it's just so happened that a lot of these things meshed quite well with each other and were in sync. And that allowed me to hit multiple checklists at once. So in one workshop, I would have taught robotics under the PO program. I would have taught it under IM Electronics. I would have taught it under ISM Manipal. Because I would have created, I created a joint event where anyone from these three 3 4 places can come. And then obviously, and then I would do a workshop on something that I need to learn stuff for. So that also forced me to learn what the thing is. And so that was a very interesting year for me, because that was zero to hero wala jo arc tha na, this year was like this was the year, this was the year that it all happened. Yeah, second year ended. I think I ended my tenure at MRM at the time because I wanted to focus on all this stuff. And ये करते करते, obviously, this is one advantage, this is one thing you should do. Try to maintain good PR with your teachers, because with your professors, I will use your professor here instead of teachers, because the issue is a lot of people come from the, I mean, a lot of people are coming from a school environment where you have, sir, ma'am, all that stuff. I mean, they still say sir, ma'am, but like the dynamics are a little different, as I'll elaborate. So, school में ऐसा था कि the school teachers basically this vending machine of syllabus and stuff, and that's all that they do. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है, maximum they'll be let's say choir का head or ऐसा this thing, और ऐसे type की चीज़ें. Oh, how could I forget? I am really into music, and I love I love listening to music. Singing maybe, I don't do that stuff anymore. But school में I was part of the choir for I think 4 years running, six, seventh, eighth, ninth में I think we had our 150 years ऐसा कुछ. तो 10th में मैंने skip किया था, 11th में था और 12th में था. So like nice 4 5 year stretch. So I don't know why I mentioned this, but yeah, I like that stuff. I decided कि college में I will not want to do those sorts of things, simply because I thought to myself कि it would be more efficient to focus on technical things. Now, this does not mean that non-technical clubs are in any way lesser than technical clubs. These are just the priorities that I figured I should have at the time. It is completely possible for someone to think to themselves ki bhai, I have slogged my ass whatever to come here and gotten the branch that I want whatever. I am just going to enjoy my life, which makes sense because like why I mentioned the choir thing is because I had avenues to enjoy. Like I did all that interest वाला चीज़ें. Maybe कुछ लोगों को तो वो चांस भी नहीं मिला रहेगा. तो maybe कॉलेज आने के बाद they get the chance to do it, which is fair, pretty fair. No, I don't hold it against anyone. तो वो सब हुआ. Um, so the peer program, all this stuff, just kind of blended together, and it was a very eventful year. Like second year and third year, pretty much the same because we were all sitting at home. So I was focusing on IM electronics, like the clubs, all the club stuff, peer program stuff. And since I didn't have MRM anymore, then I had that research experience. And also, like I mentioned, you have to maintain good PR with your teachers because uh, like school teachers are just school teachers, but then your professors in college are researchers as well. Teaching is not their primary job mostly. They also do research in the spare time, so they're researchers first, teachers second, and this is something that people forget. So when you treat your professor like a school teacher, like a master G, it offends them, because here, because to become a college professor, you need to have a PhD, and to get a PhD you need to have gone through 4 years of BTech, 2 years of MTech, and 4 years of PhD, at least 4 years of PhD. I mean, depending on how tough your field is. I mean, I'm saying 4 years in the sense of oh, 4 o'clock. 4 is in the sense of the US. I know Indian PhDs have spent longer. So imagine after toiling through all these years, finally getting to do the stuff that you really like. A bunch of dumb 12th graders, basically 12th graders, because you first years are basically 12th graders only. Let me make that very clear. Come and treat you like shit, as literal shit, because the type of stuff that I've seen, like safe for about the teachers and all that stuff is like I am not defending academics in any way, but there is a certain social contract that you sign when you go into the classroom saying ki bhai, if this person is taking time out of their day where no one, none of them likes teaching, no one likes, most of these guys don't like teaching, they would rather spend the time doing research because that is what they came to Manipal to do, or whatever to do. Teaching is an obligation that Manipal's forced on them, saying ki bhai, if we are giving you all these facilities, you teach for us please. So imagine having to go through all that and then getting treated like shit by dumb kids who don't even know any better. So you can expect why a lot of these people are very grumpy. A lot of these people don't necessarily pay attention to you, and then it leads to this vicious cycle of people not talking properly to these teachers. Then the teachers get like professors get pissed again. So it's a vicious, it's a never-ending vicious cycle. Don't do that stuff, please. Treat your professors with the same respect as you would another researcher. And so someone as a person versus someone as a researcher versus someone as a professor or teacher, world of difference, a world of difference. Okay, someone can be an absolute trash teacher, like not know how to explain concepts at all, but they can be a superstar researcher, and I've seen this firsthand. Or someone might be very good at teaching, but then they probably don't do a lot research wise, and or they might be a very good person, but they might just have a very strict teaching style. So every person is different. Don't just lump everyone under uh the same banner, and or then be surprised when they don't like where they behave very crassly with you, because obviously if you give shit to them, they'll give shit back to you. So why I'm mentioning all this is because uh the peer program, all these things, they put me in good contact with these obviously, me being a class representative, I have to be the person that talks to these teachers and kind of convinces them thoda ki sir please extra class mat karo, like thoda give 1 day holiday aisa, like because obviously you have to answer to the wishes of the class. So that is there, और फिर uh, ये चीजों के वजह से there are a lot of opportunities that students can't avail, because why the professor can't be bothered to even talk about it because they're like ये मंदबुद्धि बच्चों को मैं क्यों ही बोलूं. But if you approach them and you have genuine interest in what they're doing, and you take them at their word, you treat them like an equal, treat them like a researcher, like the researcher that they will open up to you, and there are opportunities that come to faculty that we students have no idea about. Like for example, the very first internship that I got in my life wasn't even something that I had to apply to. It was fucking given to me, and this is not industry intern. This is like a research internship. This is something that people work their ass off to, like they try to follow some research and they apply to these my tax and these dad and all that. One of the faculty that I was working with as in a part of the peer program, and I had good relations with. So she remembered me from all these activities, and her someone in her network who was working at Seoul National University in Korea on something soft robotics related. She reached out to me saying ki there's this someone I know who's looking for someone, and this is doing code, so everything's online. So do you want to do some work? I'm like, yeah, obviously. I didn't really know it at the time, but what I was doing was a research internship, and it just happened. I worked for like a month, 2 months. I had a good time interacting with the people over there. uh, I did the work for them, like MATLAB based mapping related kuch tha, because like they had a tactile sensor, soft tactile sensor and stuff. So I did do a couple months of work, and I sent that data back to them, and I got that. I made some graphs for them and stuff, um, and I got a nice letter of recommendation out of it. So I didn't do anything. It was given to me. तो वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मेंटेन गुड रिलेशंस, क्योंकि उसके बेसिस पे यू गेट better opportunities, and that is something that people don't tell you. तो वो एक पहली चीज है. दूसरी चीज, जब तुम लोग इधर आते हो मणिपाल को, try to mingle with other people, simply because don't don't just simply hang around your group. Like you don't just make a Marathi people ka group, don't just make a Telugu people ka group and just sit there. Talk to other people, please. I beg of you, talk to other people, understand where they're coming from. You are here in a national or sub-national college where people from all over India and even from outside India come, like NRI ke bache rehte na, who come from Oman, Qatar, all these all places. All of them have very different varied experiences, and you need to understand that just sitting in your group will make you the proverbial frog in the well, and you have no idea what the outside world is like. So because I had no idea what the outside world is like until I started talking to these people, that is how I got to know ki, oh, these are things that exist. I imagine if, and then I think to myself, if I had access to this information, this sort of knowledge before, मैं क्या क्या नहीं करता, और I would be able to do the things that I want to do, like all these things that I'm doing, I would have been able to get them started earlier. So yeah, it's just maintain good PR with your teachers, because there are opportunities like I mentioned that they have, and they are more than willing to give you that opportunity. It's just you have to ask nicely. वो एक है, and then also talk to other people, please. You are here in college, this is this is probably the first time you're outside your house. Use the opportunity, network, build your own self identity. Don't just hold on to your parents name or whatever anymore. I don't even mention my family stuff anymore, because people mostly know me for the stuff that I do. Until I mentioned what my background is, I don't think people would have known. So yeah, just focus on building your own personal brand, your own personal network. And yes, obviously, while all this is going on, I was on LinkedIn. I was just posting all the stuff that I did. Okay, I did this. I made this mechanism ka simulation. I designed this. I participated in this, or like I gave this workshop. I participated in this workshop, etc., etc. Which is also how I got approached for my first industry internship as well. I got approached for my internship. It was a startup, but still, I got approached for that thing. I don't think that's something that a lot of people can necessarily claim. It fell through, obviously, because I mean, this is one issue with Manipal's. I think they must have changed it, but Manipal used to have this very strict policy about attendance in general. Ki, like 75% whatever, and internships don't count. So if I have a 3 month internship, so summer vacation में 1 महीना गया, but then I would have had to miss 2 months of college. They don't have any recourse for that, so I had to let it go. This is another thing that I feel we need to kind of um, think about when colleges do policies like this. I am pretty sure things must have changed, or maybe I must have read the entire policy wrong or something. But at least when I asked the department, they're like, "Now we can't do it." Well, ठीक है भाई. I had to let it go. But I feel that similar to the US here, where they have this concept of a co-op, or this thing, like thoda flexibility allow in your system, it will do your students wonders, because there are companies that want people for longer periods of time, but they can't, because half of these people either just want full-time job because they are graduated and they have free time, or they are here just for 1 month. एक महीने में what is a damn intern going to do? Why? I know I've tried to have undergrads or like people work for a month. Bro, it takes an entire month just to understand what the project even is. After that, they can start making contributions, like productive contributions to the project. So you need at least 2 3 months of stuff. तो कैसे करें अभी, करना पड़ता है. So it's sad, but it is what it is, यार. Anyway, so second third year ये सब हुआ. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the shenanigans that occurred during this time. So when things were online, the second semester end sems were a big hot topic of discussion, because we were sent home in the middle of the semester, and so how are we going to test? So then they I don't remember the name of the company, but then I remember the name of the software that they had made, which was a thing called Pexa. So if I remember correctly, this is the same company that operated the e-pads that we would use. So I mean, it makes sense. If they made our e-pads, they'll make the software also. Huge fucking mistake. You, because the software was so bad कि इंस्टॉल करके खोला तो it would brick your computer, and this is something that happened to a lot of people. I remember recording a video of it at the time. uh, Fortunately मेरे इसमें नहीं हुआ, but there was this 1 minute time frame where the screen was just black, nothing was going on. I couldn't do anything, and then fortunately it came on. But that was a very scary 60 seconds for me, because at the time this is a laptop that I think I tested on the old laptop, but by फिर भी यार laptop है यार. I can't just because of some bullshit like this. So we all protested on Twitter at the time. I don't remember the hashtag, something Pexa something. वो pressure डाल के somehow we got the thing pro rate. Uh, and then Manipal started to call us again in I think the fall, saying कि आ जाओ वापस college को. In the end, obviously they pushed it back because we had a second lockdown, the second Indian lockdown at the time. So like we know, even if people wanted to come, they probably won't be able to come. So वो सब हुआ. Um, yeah, we did have this very interesting experience on Microsoft Teams, because now that classes were online, this was the first time everyone was seriously using Microsoft Teams and all that stuff. So online classes चालू हुए, वो सब हुआ. We even had online exams on that. So the way they do these things is they would start a video call. So like we would be called to certain video calls. This is during the exam ka time. We would have had to turn our cameras on वगैरह, and sit. They should be able to see the desk, our hands, ऐसा, so that we aren't doing weird stuff. And then it was a very I kind of forget the details of how it happened, but it was a very half stressful, half funny thing, because we were hearing horror stories of people getting logged out from Teams because of spotty internet connection. Because I mean, obviously, who's going to prepare their internet for a global pandemic? Because like 50 Mbps, कुछ तो, and it dropped out. But then they couldn't rejoin back, because I mean their invigilator, which we wouldn't have known the names of, they would have said ki, uh, you can't join because you left, so you have no idea what you did, so you must have cheated. So they're like, अरे भाई क्या चल रहा है यार. So but it was an interesting time, but we somehow made it through. But one major drawback of all this was I lost that offline experience of the like fourth semester, say sixth, seventh semester tak. I missed everything, like all the offline events that we could have done, all the experiences that I could have had as a mechatronics student, as an engineering student. Like the main engineering years were kind of taken away from me, and I think that's something that I am still kind of having to deal with, and that's something that a lot of people in my particular generation are dealing with. So I guess y'all are lucky that you didn't have to deal with that stuff here. Although I mean, y'all had your own issues, because 8, 9 or something was under Corona, so your fundamentals are totally cooked. At least in our case, we had a decentish 10th and 12th. So वो सब हुआ. um, second year खत्म हुआ, third year खत्म हुआ. I think I covered everything those 2 years. um, then we come to the fourth year. Now fourth year में we had this new faculty who had started a soft robotics ka course. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about stuff like open electives and stuff, right? Yeah. So in your second year and in your third year, you get the option to take what are called open electives, where if say I'm a mechatronics student and I want to take a course offered by the CS department, I have the option to take one of those courses. Like you get a list, select from it, preference wise or GPA wise a lot हो जाता है. So then I took a look at this stuff, and at the time I knew कि I wanted to do something MS Masters related, although I wasn't quite sure at the time. But then I thought to myself, like the criteria I applied for selecting my electives was, if it is something that I cannot learn online or easily through anyone else, I will take that this thing. So my first elective was AR and VR technologies. This is back in 2020, sort of. Yeah, 2020. So I mean, COVID messed things up, but then for the time that we had, it was a very nice course. I enjoyed it. It was a very enlightening course. I learned a bunch of things. I got to know कि oh ये AR VR technology क्या रहता है, all that stuff. I got to know OpenGL, Unity, physics engines, all that sort of stuff. So it was nice. It was a nice experience, and I think that kind of opened the floodgates for me exploring more esoteric technologies and stuff. Because third, I don't quite remember what I did in my third year. I think I did. Yeah, I remember doing linear algebra specifically because I just wanted to see, like, get my bearings again, because I kind of messed math 4 up and stuff. It was an interesting course. It was okay. And then seventh semester May I took computer graphics and animation. So that was another very interesting course. So I thought I'll try to tie the two things together. So like AR VR किया, I did linear algebra, and then I इसका दोनों दोनों को ये अगर मैंने किया तो you get computer graphics and animation. So I thought in that respect. And then in your third year you get program electives, which are your particular degree ke related to के specializations. So then I selected robotics and automation because that is the reason I chose mechatronics in the first place. And so I learned AI, I learned control theory, I learned motion planning, like basic stuff, ROS, etc., etc. वो सब चीजें, stuff that I had some idea about with the department's curriculum and stuff. Oh yeah, why another thing that happened while all this was happening was IIT Bombay has this thing called the Yantra Robotics Competition, and I think because everyone was online, they kind of democratized it to everyone. So they marketed very heavily, and so I thought it was cool. So then I signed up for it. Udhar, I had no idea what I was doing. So I learned ROS, I learned Move It, I learned how to make that URDF, how to connect everything, how to do those ROSK scripts. This was, I think, melodic or noetic at the time. So I did all that stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a very challenging experience. There were times where I wished कि भाई मैं क्या करूँ, I just want to end this, but I persevered. I pushed through. You will have times like this where you just don't want to do it. कर लो, it is okay. Don't worry about the outcome, just worry about the process, and at least you are learning a stuff. Now what you do with that knowledge is up to you. Like grade or stuff, I mean, yes, try to get a good grade if possible, but as long as you pass, or like you get a decent enough this thing, that you're sort of satisfied कि ठीक है भाई, I did the best I could, I'm okay with it, it's okay. You have the rest of your life, just make the most of it. So Yantra हुआ, and I liked it so much that I did again. So 2020 में we went. I don't think we were able to go to the finals. We missed by a bit, but 2021 में again we missed by a bit. But we completed those projects. 2020 में it was a manipulator. 2021 में it was a drone. It was really cool. I really liked it. So I decided that all this time the pure program stuff is still going on. We got a new UR5 robot, which I proceeded to tinker around a lot with, and I even ended up making a bunch of videos on the UR5, which I think are still on this YouTube channel or the other one, like a vlog or some sort. I thought I'd make a bunch of videos on the UR5, but I never got the time to do more stuff. But it's okay. uh, I did a bunch of faculty workshops, in the sense that there would be people that would come to campus to train the faculty, but then obviously having good relations with the faculty allowed me to attend those workshops as well. So SolidWorks certifications, UR5 workshops, all those sorts of things. So I really enjoyed it, and this also gave me the opportunity to pursue my BTech final project, because another faculty came to me with the idea of a tree harvester. Not for these trees specifically, but then coconuts, date palms, the palm phenotype tree, specifically for areca nut. Areca nut is betel nut or supari. So South India has a really large areca nut industry. So there are, but it's still very agrarian, very rural, not very mechanized, not very automated. So we had to figure out a solution to that. So that was back in the third year, the sixth semester, and then from that time till the eighth semester, we were working on that thing. We were fortunate enough to get one Australian patent done. Uh, we got that accepted. I think the Indian patent is filed. I don't know what happened. I don't quite remember. I got my BTech final project, my undergraduate thesis per se done. We also got a journal paper accepted in about that. So it was pretty good showing all around. But I would not have been able to do this project if once again I did not do these very specific things. It just things that just fell into place, just happenstance. So I'm like I do admit that luck played a big part in all this, but I would say that you make your luck and then your luck takes you places. So had I not done these things, these seemingly inconsequential things, I don't think I would have been able to get these opportunities the traditional way. I would have had to, maybe grind a lot and then approach the faculty and then maybe kind of work something out. But then ये थोड़ा personal relation networking किया मैंने, and because I had this very specific set of skills that I gained through these very specific activities that I did, I was able to avail of these opportunities before people didn't even know they existed. So it's all a matter of how you wish to position yourself, what your roadmap is, but in particular, because I particularly didn't necessarily have a roadmap. I just knew ki the stuff that I want to do, I want to focus on these four avenues, which for me at the time was like robotics, general management or something, and education. Like at the time, those were the three specializations that I had in mind. So all this happened in third year, fourth year. Once again, I didn't bother taking any internships because I was busy doing all this work. Uh, seventh semester, May, yeah, we had this new faculty who was doing soft robotic stuff, and once again, I wanted to try it out, so I tried it out. I really liked it, and because I was first exposed to soft robotics from the research internship that I did. So then I tried it again over here. I made a bunch of like basic new nets and whatever. I really loved it. तो मैंने सोचा कि ठीक है, this might be something that I might want to do work in on later, because one thing I realized at the time was I thrive in establishing niches. Like I am not necessarily someone that will min max for a field. Like I won't grind DSA, if that makes sense. I will try to find my own path in a field that people may not know about, because that is unknown. That's where uncertain things happen, and uncertainty excites me. Making the uncertain certain, that's what really excites me. So I did all that stuff, and now while all this is happening, if you recall, I was doing I was doing my courses. I was doing the YouTube stuff. I mean, like I was looking up stuff on YouTube. And this, so aside from technical development, this also helped a lot in personal development for very funny reasons. Obviously, being at home, you have to do chores, you have to do all that stuff, so time nahi milta din mein. So then one day I got so pissed, I sat down and I started making a calendar saying ki, okay bhai, if I want to do these things, when the hell do I find time to do it? So it started out of like half spite, half just frustration, but then I realized that, oh, this is something that I could actually do regularly, because this allows me to see how much time I actually have in a day and how much time I can devote to certain things. So it stuck, and that's what led to the calendars that y'all must have seen me post sometimes. It's totally filled from 5 a.m. to 9 10 p.m. With different activities and things. Like I've even baked in very travel time between places into the thing. It's overkill, but I like it. It's my overkill. And it all started off this very inconsequential thing. So I think it also goes to show that um, whatever, even if it's a little hobby, or even if it's something that you just want to do, stick with it. Don't lose don't try not to lose interest, try not to lose momentum when it comes to things like this, because it is very easy to lose interest, like when it comes to art, when it comes to the education, or just writing in general. I know I've had writer's block at times, because aside from the one, as of this recording, I only have one article on my website, and I still have to update my website and stuff, and I've been kind of holding off of that for a while. But I know that that's something I need to do. So I will do it one of these days. Peak procrastination talk. But so yeah, don't try to work on it bit by bit. Thoda thoda ho ke it builds up. Like the stuff that you see. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. Obviously, it was laid brick by brick, and so don't think that massive marathons or grand gestures of achievement and stuff. So it's all the little things that build up to these things, and then it somehow just happens. You're just there. It's not something that you have to, like, success. I would say it is a bit corny, but success isn't necessarily something that you test for. It just appears, and you have no idea how you got there, but you somehow got there, and people are telling you that you got this. So like, okay, sure, dude, I must be there. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea how I got here. So I mean, that's how I see success. Uh, but yeah, so like fourth year, mein, this is my final year in college, and I thought कि अगर मुझे मास्टर्स करना है, what do I do? Again, me at the time, I have no idea where to begin. So I asked around. People like, okay, do this thing called an SOP. You have a personal safety etc. Like, okay, bhai, I'll look this stuff up. In the meantime, fortunately, we were fortunate to through a friend of ours, I believe, we came across these MS application people. People who help you with MS applications, or like GRE test centers and stuff. Also, they would help me prepare for the GRE, and they would help me with my application and stuff. For those of you that have heard this, you probably know where this is going. But it was you is probably the only adjective I can probably say here. Because issue क्या था कि the this is the thing about a lottery centers is, I won't say they have your best interest in mind. It's just that they are trying to optimize for their interests. Now, if it aligns with your interest, then sure, very good. But if it doesn't, then you are in for a hard time, because uh this so the me at the time had a very, I mean, it's not a very standard profile for sure. So it was kind of difficult for me to also kind of figure out ki, bhai, what do I even talk about? How do I talk about what I need to talk about? So we had a bit of back and forth, but in the end it was a fairly generic, ठीक है ये सब क्या वगैरह वगैरह. um so like these guys, they also give you a list of universities to apply to. Bro, the list of universities that I got was just straight up ass, bro. Like the stuff, I mean, WPI didn't even feature on that list, first of all. And I got a bunch of random state university, like, bro, Arizona State and stuff. I mean, no shade to Arizona State, y'all are good. It's just that, considering the type of profile I had, I don't think I would have gone to Arizona State, dude. It doesn't fit the type of work that I would have wanted to do at the time. I mean, obviously it's changed now. So, but at the time, I don't think I would have wanted to go to Arizona State, because I had different priorities at the time, or different things that I wanted to do at the time. So, like, why am I hating on ASU? Like, there were other random ass state universities that were listed. Nothing. It's like, I have never heard of y'all in my life, bro. Why are you telling me these random ass universities? And I looked them up, and I mean, as I would find out later, a lot of these universities are basically little Indias. Little Indias, and a bunch of Indians just show up there, mass, they show up by the kilo, by the ton, and like in hindsight, was that's not something that I want to come to the US for. Like, वही करना तो I'll stay back in India and then spare the money. I haven't come here to the US to do all that shit. Anyway, that thing fell through. I mean, I did get into a bunch of universities. I mean, of course, I would get into those universities, but I didn't really feel that that's the sort of stuff that I that would fit the type of person I am and the type of work that I wanted to kind of do. So, well, that's what it was. I didn't bother going. So, ठीक है. Now what? So, वो सब हुआ and so anyway, वो सब हुआ. I don't know why it stopped. I'll probably splice a video later. So ये सब हुआ and then I went. So I thought to myself कि ठीक है भाई, if I want to do this, if I am not doing masters at least this year, what do I do in the meantime? This is where the industry internship stuff comes in. So by this time I finished my BTech finance project. This is the 8th semester, so I got all these replies and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to do all this shit. So what do I do now? So I knew that I want to apply for the EMS next year. So what do I do in the meantime? So we'll see. तो then हमने ये तय किया था कि fine, let's look for some industry internships or let's look for normal work. I was able to get this internship at Dassault Systems, however you want to pronounce it, and which was a fairly corporate environment. I did something like kind of sales related, okay, which is okay. Um, but I don't know, maybe it was a specific profile or it was the way the thing was, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I could not, for the life of me, think of doing anything like that. So uh, it was okay. It was good. It was good while it lasted, but then I didn't bother extending an internship. Fortunately, in the meantime, I got this other offer from this place called Salem in Tamil Nadu for this very interesting startup. Not startup, I would say, more like it was military related, but focusing on underwater vehicles and stuff. So I looked them up, and they seem to be quite interesting. But like, where the hell is Salem in Tamil Nadu? And where I'm going from Pune all the way down here. So, पहले तो my parents are like, bro, what the hell are you doing? But then somehow I kind of pushed back and I kind of pushed through and I went there. And I really enjoyed the work. It was strenuous. It was field work. You have to be there the whole day, like at the factory, whatever. But I really enjoyed that sort of work. And so I thought, so then I kind of understood that okay, this is the type of stuff that I really like doing, like, working at the edge, working at the bleeding edge, just kind of figuring stuff out. Fixed problems aren't necessarily something that I would find fulfillment in. I mean, sure, it's a safe job obviously, but not something that I would necessarily find fulfillment in, because it was honestly quite boring, whatever I was doing, because I would have finished all that stuff and ठीक है यार, जो चल रहा है तो वैसा I couldn't stomach that sort of that mindset. So then in the meantime, I also, all the stuff that I did, this kind of helped me recontextualize the stuff that I was doing all this while in the context of, so all the stuff that I've been doing has been stuff where I am either the only person doing that sort of stuff, or it's otherwise just pushing my own barriers, not necessarily staying within the comfort zone, my own comfort zone. And I think that's kind of what prompted me to also take the MS in robotics here, because that is something that, the work that I do is definitely very niche. I'm probably the only guy in university doing that, but I would say that it's very fulfilling. It's something that I would not give up for anything else in the world. I don't think I would. I really enjoy. I enjoyed being here, and I'm very excited for what to come. We'll see. Considering the current situation, we'll see how things pan out. But yeah, so that's basically it, really. I don't necessarily have a lot. I guess I talked about a lot. I kind of rambled here and there for a bit, but in finality, I think there are things such as I think a bunch of things that I think I missed out on were, I mean, obviously the offline experience of college, but things such as uh, how do I say this? Like like there were technical things, non-technical things, the typical, you know, campus life, I guess, as a catch-all term for mingling, being single and ready to mingle and all that sort of stuff. Wasn't necessarily attuned to that sort of lifestyle, so like, okay, bhai, not interested. Hackathons, all that stuff I kind of missed, I think, because of like workshop stuff, all that stuff. The technical fests that Manipal has, like Tech Tattva, and the cultural fest that we have, which is Rebels. I wasn't necessarily like a fest sort of guy again. I was more than happy just chilling in my room, with like the small number of friends that the small number of friends that I already had, which we were all okay with. Like, surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, all of us are quite similar in personality, in the sense of we like keeping to ourselves and stuff. Um, so yeah, it was a very eye-opening. I mean, Manipal has been transformative for me in more ways than one. Coming from a place, or like coming from a background where I don't know anything, so when लोग बोलते हैं ना कि when you're in a college you get exposure, like when you're in a better college you get exposure. I would partly agree, because I there is a thing that going to a quote unquote better college gives you better exposure, but what sort of exposure you get differs a lot on the person. For New Manipal is your typical. I mean, Manipal has its reputation for a reason. I didn't participate in any of that reputation. If I When I tell people I'm from Manipal, people look at me like I'm from a different dimension, because I am not the type of person that people would expect people from Manipal are. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do all that club shit and dance, or I don't do anything. So you're like, bhai, what the hell were you doing in Manipal? Like, पढ़ रहा था भाई, college गया तो obviously I'll study. What the fuck else will I do? So yeah, so there may be certain expectations. Don't succumb to FOMO, like fear of missing out. Don't. If you feel that that is something that you like to do it. If you feel that that is something that you don't like to do, don't do it. It is okay. If someone gives you shit for it, then they are probably not someone you should keep further relations with. I'll tell it straight. There are people, like in your first year you get a lot of friends, but then you'll realize that a lot of those friends disappear, and then they are replaced by, different friends. But then over time there'll be this kind of common friends group that tends to just hang around. So I'd say try to solidify that circle of yours. I know we try to do it, like our friends probably had the same idea in mind, because we were joined by common hobbies, or like common interests, intellectual interests, and not just we like playing sports or whatever. Although a couple of us did, but we had common intellectual interests, common, I guess, psychological interests, and so that really helped cement our camaraderie, I guess, is a good way to describe it. तो ये सब हुआ. Now the stuff that I mean, I did pepper in a lot of these things, but then stuff like, I'm going to mention it again. Don't succumb to FOMO. Try to. It is okay if you are going against the grain, although that depends on your risk appetite. In our case, it was partly a leap of faith, but then as we got it validated, we were able to. Uh, I was able to build that appetite for risk, and so that's how I'm able to just confidently enough do this thing that I'm doing right now, whereas someone else might not. So it's okay, हो जाता है. It's an acquired skill, it's an acquired tolerance, you'll build. और बाकी का तो देख भाई, कुछ ऐसा कुछ है नहीं difference between you and the others when it comes to other things. You may be smart in some areas, they may be smart in other areas, may not be smart in other areas, whatever. Focus on what your, I guess, strengths are. Try to combine that with your interests. Try to combine, this concept of, ikigai is something that I kind of learned somewhat recently. Is basically this combination of, you combine your interests, you combine your your skills, you combine things that people want you to do, and you combine things that are good for the world, like this intersection or this synergy of all these other things, so that you're not just doing things just to get money, but which absolutely drain you in the process, and then you end up in a midlife crisis, and you go buy Royal Enfield to go to Ladakh. Like that's practically 50% of all IT guys that are in their 35s or like 40s or something. uh, I mean, if that's what you really like, then karo, but I'm just saying that the overlap is quite high, if I say so myself. And baki to, it is what it is, yeah. A lot of the things, I mean, I'm pretty sure I glossed over a lot of things, but I hope whatever I talked about is somewhat useful. At least it gives you a window into what informs the opinions that I talk about here, like on the videos that I record. And yeah, it's, well, it is what it is. You don't really know, you don't know what you don't know. So if you want to know what you know, you should first know what you don't know. Just keep learning, keep exposing yourself to different things in general. It could be experiences, could be information, all that stuff. But yeah, there's no fixed formula to life. Everyone has their own like strengths, weaknesses, priorities, all that stuff. Just find your ikigai and work out. हो जाता है. Okay, cool.